Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation today is the second Shabad of Sri Rag Bani, Rag Sri Rag Mahalla Pehla, Kar Pehla. Kot Koti Meri Araja, Pavan Piyan Apyao, Chand Suraj Doe Gufe Na Dekha, Supne Saun Na Thao. भी तेरी कीमत ना पवै हाँ केवड़ आखा नाव साचा निरंकार निज थाए सुन सुन आखण आखणा जे पावै करे तमाए रहाओ कुसा कटिया वार वार पीसन पीसा पाए अग्गी सेती जालिया भसम सेती रल जाओ भी तेरी कीमत ना पवै हाँ केवड़ आखा नाव पंखी होए के जय पवा सह असमानी नाव नदरी किसे ना आवो ना किछ पिया ना खाओ भी तेरी कीमत ना पवै हाँ केवड़ आखा नाव नानक कागद लख मणा पढ़ पढ़ कीचे पाओ मसू तोट न आवई लेखन पाउन चलाओ भी तेरी कीमत ना पवै हाँ केवड़ आखा नाव. Now we can see that the refrain in this passage is Bhi teri कीमत ना पवै हाँ केवड़ आखा नाव. That is to say, despite all the powers that I may have gathered, I yet cannot fathom you. How then could I possibly describe your expanse? So this passage essentially challenges our capacity to grasp the totality of existence, and it dismisses any such efforts as inadequate or hearsay or both. So in this passage, Guruji points to the yogi and their pursuit of a long life and control of involuntary functions. Kot Koti Meri Araja, immeasurable life. Pavan Piyan Apyao, surviving just on air. And the ascetic's negation of the body, Kusa Katya Var Var Pisan Pisa Pao, Aggi Seti Jalya Pasam Seti Ralajao. This is a pointer to some of the austere practices that the Siddhas engaged in. And it was essentially torture for the body. And Guruji also points to the scholars' arrogance and misplaced belief that Nanak Kagad Lakhmana Pad Pad Kiche Pao Masu Tot Na Avai Lekhan Paun Chalao. In other words, you could have the wind as your scribe, an endless supply of ink, in an endless supply of paper, and even if you were to compose scriptures at that pace and were to read them out, you could not possibly fathom the expanse of the Creator. So now all of these methods that we have just looked at, according to Guru Nanak, are misguided ways. And this is yet another example of Guru Nanak, the iconoclast, questioning prevailing ideas and collective myths and forging his response. What does Guruji and how does he respond? He asks for the gift of longing, Je pave kare tamai, if it pleases you. It's a yearning desire whose fulfillment is really outside of his own hands. And this is the sign of true devotion or bhakti, which is the correct and appropriate response to living in a mystery that is beyond human grasp, comprehension, and description. So living with this unknown and understanding this to be a mystery develops a sense of wonder, vismad, and it teaches us to trust, take risks, and live on the edge, which are all necessary ingredients for growth and an exhilarating life. So we need to understand that like a fish in an ocean, We too live in a sea, but a sea of consciousness. And just as the fish cannot possibly measure the ocean's extent, humans cannot estimate this being that we call Ik Oankar. And just as the sea creates and sustains the fish, we are also created and supported by Ik Oankar. And as we said, what might the appropriate response be to this unfathomable being? The Rahau line, the refrain, gives us a hint. Develop the capacity for longing or yearning for this being. This is a poetic way of saying to be on the path of lifelong learning. That is what Sikhi is. That's the meaning of being a Sikh, a student, which is to be on a developmental process. It's not a destination. It's a process that we need to get on. And it's a lifelong process. So a lifelong process requires that we first deconstruct the myths and the illusions that have misinformed us. Like the yogi trying to live forever, the siddha torturing the body, or the scholar trying to rely on the intellect alone. So we have to peel away, as for starters, all of these misinformation, padya anpadya. We have to really unlearn first and then begin to cultivate our intuitive self-knowledge. These are some thoughts that we would like you to ponder over. And until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.